The world stands frozen in silence as one of Hollywood's most indestructible heroes faces a battle no stunt double can fight for him. Bruce Willis, the man who saved presidents, defused bombs, and walked through glass barefoot, now walks slowly through his Los Angeles neighborhood, leaning on a caregiver's arm, his trademark smirk hidden behind sunglasses and a quiet exhaustion that no movie ever prepared us for. This is not fiction. This is not a script. This is the heartbreaking reality of a legend whose mind is betraying him, one fleeting moment at a time. Before we dive into this deeply emotional journey, hit like as a gesture of respect for a man who gave us courage through his characters and now teaches us about love, loss, and the fragile beauty of human connection. This is the story of Bruce Willis, not as an action hero, but as a father, a husband, and a man whose greatest battle is one he cannot win. The boy who learned to fight. Long before the explosions and one-liners, long before John McClane and the world knew his name, there was Walter Bruce Willis, born on March 19, 1955, in the small German town of Idar-Oberstein. His father, David Willis, was an American soldier stationed in Germany, a man hardened by war and discipline. His mother, Marlene, was a German woman who carried the weight of a country still healing from its own scars. Bruce was the eldest of 4 children, born into a world where survival wasn't dramatic. It was daily. When Bruce was 2 years old, the family moved to Carneys Point, New Jersey, a working-class town where dreams were small and expectations even smaller. His father took a job as a welder and mechanic. His mother worked in a bank. Money was tight, warmth was rare, and young Bruce, shy and anxious, developed a stutter so severe that speaking became a battlefield. School was torture. Words trapped themselves in his throat like prisoners. Classmates mocked him. Teachers overlooked him. The boy who would one day command the screen with effortless charisma could barely string together a sentence without shame burning his cheeks. He later recalled, "I felt invisible. I felt broken. I thought I'd always be the kid who couldn't talk. But then something miraculous happened." In high school, a drama teacher noticed Bruce lingering near the auditorium. She invited him to audition for a play. And when he stepped onto that stage and spoke someone else's words, the stutter vanished. Not permanently, but enough. Enough for him to realize that maybe, just maybe, he wasn't broken. He was just waiting for the right stage. "Acting saved my life," Bruce would later say. "It gave me a voice when I thought I had none." That stage became his sanctuary. That spotlight became his oxygen. And from that moment, the boy who stuttered began his transformation into the man who would never be silent again. From bartender to blockbuster. The road to stardom wasn't paved with gold. It was paved with rejection, empty pockets, and relentless hustle. After high school, Bruce moved to New York City in the late 1970s with nothing but a dream and a refusal to quit. He worked as a bartender in Manhattan, slinging drinks while auditioning for anything that would pay. He did off-Broadway plays, appeared in commercials, and took every bit part he could find. His break came in 1985 when he was cast in a new television series called Moonlighting. He played David Addison, a wisecracking private detective opposite Sybil Shepherd. The show was electric. Bruce's natural charm, his impeccable comic timing, and that mischievous grin turned him into a household name. He won an Emmy. He became America's favorite troublemaker, but Hollywood still saw him as just a TV actor, a comedian, not a leading man. Then came 1988, and everything changed. Die Hard wasn't supposed to be a classic. It was a summer action movie based on a novel nobody had heard of. The studio wanted a traditional action star, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, someone with muscles and a proven track record. Instead, they took a chance on Bruce Willis, the TV guy who joked around. And Bruce gave them John McClane, an everyman cop thrust into an impossible situation. No superpowers, no invincibility, just grit, sarcasm, and sheer determination. When McClane pulled glass from his bloodied feet and muttered, "Yippee-ki-yay," a legend was born. Die Hard became a phenomenon, redefining the action genre and proving that heroes don't need to be perfect. They just need to refuse to give up. Bruce Willis was no longer a TV star. He was a movie icon. The hero with a heart. What made Bruce Willis different from every other action star wasn't just his ability to throw punches or fire guns. It was his ability to make you care. He brought vulnerability to roles that could have been one-dimensional. In The Sixth Sense, 1999, he played a broken psychologist with such quiet pain that audiences wept. In Armageddon, 1998, he was the blue-collar driller willing to sacrifice everything to save the world. In Unbreakable, 2000, he embodied a man discovering his purpose through trauma. Off-screen, Bruce was known for his warmth, his loyalty, and his love for his family. In 1987, he married actress Demi Moore, and together they became one of Hollywood's most glamorous couples. They had 3 daughters, Rumor, Scout, and Tallulah, and Bruce threw himself into fatherhood with the same intensity he brought to his roles. But Hollywood takes its toll. The pressures of fame, the grueling schedules, the constant scrutiny, it all weighed heavy. In 2000, Bruce and Demi divorced. It was painful, public, and deeply personal. Yet even in separation, they remained united as parents, a bond that would prove unbreakable in the years to come. In 2009, Bruce found love again. He married Emma Hemming, a model and actress, and together they had 2 more daughters, Mabel and Evelyn. Bruce, now in his 50s, embraced this second chapter of fatherhood with renewed purpose. He was older, wiser, and more present. Friends described him as a devoted father who valued family dinners and quiet moments more than red carpets. By the 2000s, Bruce had become a fixture in action cinema, appearing in countless films, some critically acclaimed, others pure entertainment. He wasn't chasing Oscars. He was doing what he loved, making movies, making people smile, and living life on his terms. But beneath the surface, something was changing. Something subtle, something terrifying. The first cracks in the armor. Around 2020, those closest to Bruce began noticing small shifts. He would forget lines on set, something that had never been an issue before. He seemed distracted, distant. Directors who had worked with him for years quietly expressed concern. His speech, once sharp and quick, occasionally stumbled. Not like his childhood stutter, this was different. This was confusion. At first, everyone chalked it up to age. Bruce was in his mid-60s, still working constantly, still doing his own stunts when he could. Maybe he was just tired. Maybe he needed a break. But deep down, his family knew something was wrong. Emma noticed it at home. Bruce would misplace things, repeat questions, struggle to find words. He would stare at familiar faces as if trying to place them. She would later describe those moments as terrifying and heartbreaking all at once. Demi, who remained close to Bruce despite their divorce, noticed it too. During family gatherings, Bruce seemed quieter, less engaged, as if a fog was settling over him. In early 2022, the decision was made. Bruce would step away from acting. On March 30th, 2022, his family released a statement that sent shockwaves through Hollywood. To Bruce's amazing supporters, as a family, we wanted to share that our beloved Bruce has been experiencing some health issues and has recently been diagnosed with aphasia, which is impacting his cognitive abilities. As a result of this, and with much consideration, Bruce is stepping away from the career that has meant so much to him. Aphasia, a language disorder that affects the ability to communicate. For a man whose career was built on words, on timing, on connection, it was a cruel twist of fate. Fans around the world sent messages of love and support. Hollywood paused to honor a legend, but the family knew this was only the beginning. The diagnosis that changed everything. For months after the aphasia announcement, the Willis family navigated a painful unknown. Doctors ran tests, specialists were consulted, and then, in February 2023, came the answer they had been dreading: frontotemporal dementia, FTD. Unlike Alzheimer's, which primarily affects memory, FTD attacks the frontal and temporal lobes of the brain, the areas that control personality, behavior, language, and movement. It typically strikes people between the ages of 40 and 65, robbing them of the very things that make them who they are. There is no cure. There is no stopping it. There is only the slow, merciless erosion of self. Emma Hemming Willis, speaking publicly for the first time about the diagnosis, described the moment with raw honesty. When we left the doctor's office that day, all we had was a pamphlet and a hollow goodbye. I felt lost. I felt isolated. I felt scared. How do you tell your daughters that their father is disappearing? Bruce's diagnosis was made public in a joint statement from Emma, Demi, and all 5 of his daughters. The world mourned with them. Messages poured in from co-stars, directors, and fans. Sylvester Stallone called him a true friend and warrior. M. Night Shyamalan said, "Bruce gave me one of the greatest gifts of my career. I will love him forever." But beyond the tributes and the headlines, there was a family trying to hold on to a man who was slipping away. One word, one memory, one moment at a time. When the hero can't save himself. By mid-2023, Bruce's condition had progressed rapidly. The man who once delivered perfect one-liners could no longer form complete sentences. Communication became a guessing game, a dance of gestures and expressions. Emma described it as profoundly sad, watching the person she loved struggle to express even the simplest thoughts. "There's grief in it," she told NBC's Today Show in October 2025. "But there's also so much love. Bruce still knows we're here. That's what keeps us going." Some days, Bruce could still flash that trademark grin, the one that lit up movie screens for decades. Other days, he stared blankly, lost in a fog that no amount of love could penetrate. His mobility began to decline. Simple movements became labored. Walking required assistance. The man who once leapt from buildings and fought off terrorists now needed help standing up. In November 2025, paparazzi captured Bruce on a rare public outing in Los Angeles. He wore sunglasses, a cap, and a gray t-shirt, walking slowly beside his caregiver. The images broke hearts around the world. This was Bruce Willis, John McClane, Corbin Dallas, David Dunn, reduced to a frail 70-year-old man who needed help crossing the street. But amid the heartbreak, there was something else. There was dignity. There was love. There was a family refusing to let their hero face this battle alone. A love that defies all odds. What makes Bruce Willis's story so profoundly moving isn't just his decline. It's the extraordinary bond between the women who love him. Emma Hemming Willis and Demi Moore, current wife and ex-wife, have become not just allies but true friends, united by their devotion to Bruce and their commitment to their daughters. Demi, who divorced Bruce over 2 decades ago, has remained a constant presence in his life. In March 2025, she shared a photograph on social media of herself, Emma, and daughter Tallulah spending an afternoon with Bruce. The caption was simple but powerful, filling him with love. No bitterness, no resentment, just pure, unconditional love. Emma has spoken openly about how crucial Demi's support has been. "We're a blended family in the truest sense," she said. "We're all in this together." Bruce is surrounded by love from all of us, and that's what matters. Their daughters, Rumor, Scout, Tallulah, Mabel, and Evelyn, have rallied around their father with a grace and maturity that has inspired millions. Rumor, the eldest, shared a heartbreaking post on Father's Day 2025. "I miss conversations with my dad. I miss his laugh. But I'm so grateful for the moments when I see a spark in his eyes and I know he's still in there." Together, the family has turned their pain into purpose. They've become advocates for FTD awareness, using their platform to educate the public about a disease that remains vastly underfunded and misunderstood. Emma has been particularly vocal, attending benefit concerts, speaking at conferences, and partnering with the Association for Frontotemporal Degeneration. Bruce would have loved this, Emma said at a November 2025 benefit concert in New York featuring Norah Jones and Keith Richards. He always loved live music. He definitely would have jumped on stage to play his harmonica. Cherishing every fleeting moment. As Bruce's condition continues to progress, the family has adopted a philosophy that is both heartbreaking and beautiful. Cherish every moment, no matter how small. We don't know how much time we have left, Emma shared in a recent interview. But we're going to fill it with joy, music, and laughter. Everything Bruce loves most. On good days, they play his favorite records. They show him clips from his movies, hoping to spark a memory. They sit with him in the garden, holding his hand, talking to him even when he can't respond. And sometimes, just sometimes, his eyes light up. Sometimes, that grin breaks through. And in those fleeting seconds, Bruce Willis is still Bruce Willis. Glenn Gordon Caron, creator of Moonlighting, visited Bruce recently and described the experience with bittersweet honesty. While words may be limited, he's still Bruce, and he knows you're there. You can feel it. Emma has been candid about the emotional toll of caregiving. Some days are harder than others, she admitted. There are moments when I'm profoundly sad. I wish things were different. But then I look at our daughters, and I see their strength, and I remember why we keep fighting. The family has also made the difficult decision to place Bruce in a specialized care facility where he can receive 24/7 professional support. It wasn't a choice made lightly, but it was made with love. We want him to have the best care possible, Emma explained. And sometimes, love means letting experts help when we can't do it alone. The legacy of a hero. Bruce Willis's filmography is legendary. Over 100 films, billions of dollars at the box office, iconic roles that have become part of our cultural DNA. But his true legacy isn't in the movies he made. It's in the lives he touched and the conversations his family has sparked. Because of Bruce's diagnosis, millions of people around the world now know what FTD is. They understand that dementia isn't just an old person's disease. They see the importance of compassion, of research funding, of supporting families navigating impossible journeys. His daughters are carrying his torch in their own ways. Rumor has become an advocate for mental health. Tallulah has spoken openly about addiction and recovery. Scout uses her platform to promote body positivity and self-acceptance. Mabel and Evelyn, though still young, are growing up surrounded by lessons of resilience and unconditional love. And Emma and Demi? They've redefined what it means to be a blended family, showing the world that love doesn't end with divorce and that co-parenting can be an act of profound grace. We're all just doing our best, Demi said in a rare interview. Bruce taught us to fight, to never give up, and that's exactly what we're doing. The man behind the myth. It's easy to forget, amid the headlines and the tributes, that Bruce Willis is still here. He's still breathing, he's still feeling, he's still loved, and while his mind may be fading, his presence remains. Those who know him best describe a man who, even in silence, radiates warmth. A man who, even without words, communicates love through his eyes. A man who taught the world that heroes don't need capes or catchphrases. They just need to show up, even when it's hard. Bruce Willis didn't ask for this battle. He didn't choose this ending. But in facing it with dignity, surrounded by a family that refuses to let him face it alone, he's given us one final performance. Not on screen, but in life. He's showing us that strength isn't about being unbreakable. It's about being human. It's about letting people love you when you can't love yourself. It's about holding on to hope even when the future is uncertain. As we close this chapter, it's important to remember that Bruce Willis's story isn't over. Not yet. He's still here, still fighting, still surrounded by love. And while the road ahead is uncertain and painful, it's also filled with moments of grace, laughter, and connection. If Bruce's story has touched you, if you've ever found courage in one of his characters, if you've laughed at his jokes or cried at his performances, then honor him now. Not with pity, but with respect. Share awareness about FTD. Support families navigating dementia. And most importantly, cherish the people you love while you still can. Because Bruce Willis, the man who saved the world 100 times over, is teaching us one final lesson: that the truest heroism isn't in the battles we win, but in the love we leave behind. Rest when you need to, Bruce. Fight when you can. But know this: you are not alone. You are surrounded by a family that adores you, a world that respects you, and a legacy that will echo long after the credits roll. If this story moved you, please share it. Let's honor Bruce Willis not just as an action hero, but as a father, a husband, and a human being teaching us all about love, resilience, and the power of family. Leave a comment with your favorite Bruce Willis memory, or simply say, "Thank you." Because sometimes, the simplest gestures mean the most.